Village, we are live.
Morning, everyone. Today is September 16th, 2022, 11 a.m., and I welcome everyone to the East Hampton Village Board meeting. Could we stand and have a pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. A couple of quick announcements. We have the dedication of Home Sweet Home Garden to Loretta Orion on September 29th at 3:30 p.m. So we hope everyone can make that. The other announcement is just to remind everybody, Hampton's Film Festival starts October 7th through the 16th. That's all I have. And roll call, June?
Mayor Larson,
Here?
Deputy Mayor Minardi,
Here.
Trustee Doyle. Here. Trustee Eminem. Here. Trustee Melendez. Here. Administrator Balladron.
Here.
Village Attorney Messina.
Present.
Village Attorney Perillo. I
Here.
got your name right this time.
Thank you. Our first presentation is Hugh King.
I have two announcements. First, on October 1st, there's going to be a harvest festival, I believe, right, on the Herrick Park grounds. And also that will be between 11 and 5. And then October 1st at the Mulford Farm, there will be the Mulford Farm Festival, and that'll be between 10 and 2. So you'll be able to do both. Erwin Levy is going to have a lead a walk from the Mulford Farm at 10:30 down Dunemere through the nature trail down Newtown over to Herrick Park. So you can just take that and then you could wind up being at Herrick Park. All right. Well, tomorrow at 2:00, we're going to have the street naming, correct, for Dr. Frederick Russell. Dr. Russell took over as being mayor after the death of Samuel Gregory. He was the mayor during the beginning of the Great Depression. He fought against and prevented miniature golf courses from being built on Main Street and then the Hook. There was proposals to have miniature golf courses. Repairs were made at Home Sweet Home Museum during Dr. Russell's tenure. Home Sweet Home plates were ordered and sold at the museum. These plates were constantly given to people after they got married. They would get a set of plates, or at Christmas time, people would get Home Sweet Home plates made by Wedgwood. We have about 3 or 4, but you can go online and get them if you want. Sunday movies were finally approved during Dr. Russell's tenure as mayor. Guildhall was built during Dr. Russell's tenure. The Pennypack collection was given to the East Hampton Library, which now forms part of the Long Island Room. There are 4 rooms there now. The men's club name was changed to the East Hampton Lions Club. James Lane was named. Mrs. Ruger Donahoe gifted the land to begin the formation of the nature trail. She lived on Egypt Lane, and right across the street, there was this open field that her husband just loved. And after he died, she donated that to the village. And that was the first time in the history of the town, we think, that a private individual gave land for a public use. And now that's all become part of the nature trail. Okay, now, Dr. Russell did a lot of great things in his life, and his children, his grandchildren, of course, have made a mark. But he also had a daughter named Louise. And Louise Russell was a member of the 1934-1935 East Hampton High School girls basketball team that went undefeated and won the Eastern Suffolk Championship. And they were the first women's team to get inducted into the East Hampton Athletic Hall of Fame. And finally, he's a fellow of the Golden Dental Circle, celebrating 50 years as a dentist. That's all I got.
What were the dates that he served? I missed it. In
1930. I'm sorry, I didn't say it. 1930 to 1936.
Wow. That's terrific. So the dedication will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the corner of Fithian Lane and Main Street. The sign is already up. but the family will be there, and we welcome the public to come if they'd like. And Hugh will do this presentation.
And I have one of these for all the members of the family too.
That's very
I'll give
nice.
that to them. Okay.
Terrific.
All right.
Thank you very much, Hugh. So our next presentation is a slideshow, basically, that will show all the events that took place during the summer, kind of celebrating the end of summer. We have an in-house photographer, a very capable young man. His name is Lee Bertrand, and he's one of our assistant managers up at Main Beach. But he takes photographs, which are just outstanding photographs, between his drone photographs and his still photographs. And we wanted everybody to see it because we've seen it. And I asked him to put together a show for us today. So we're going to play that now. But before we do that, I just wanted to see if Drew had anything to add.
No, it was a busy summer, and I know Lee ran around and got photos of all the events. So these, from what I've seen, have been phenomenal. So I'm glad to put them together so everybody else.
Yeah, and I know the village administrator deals with them all the time. Do you want to add anything, Marcos?
Well, I think if anybody follows the village social channels, with Facebook, you'll see. They're all.
Yeah, he does a great job. So if we could play that for the public.
Get a soundtrack for next year. It's music to this next time.
Well, it was just terrific. So next year we'll have to add some music to that. Good job, Lee. Thank you very much for doing that.
Mhm.
And it was a great summer. And I want to thank all the employees and all the department heads. It was a really busy summer, and everybody really stepped up and did a great job. So thank you all. Next is a board discussion about 37 Newtown Lane. Who wants to lead that? I know Billy's not here. Tom, can you speak to it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that'd be good. You don't have a mic there, so.
Good morning and thank you. I didn't really prepare anything, but I could just give a brief, oversight on it. So they're looking to actually, so that it's the breezing up 37 Newtown. It's breezing up, and it goes back to what they were calling 80 Park Place. But the actual address is 37 Newtown. So they're looking to upgrade that septic, and it'll be a new type of innovative alternative system. And it's going to, which I guess we'll slowly do is do easements, because right now the septic is kind of crisscrossy and maybe not right in front of each particular establishment, like where you make the turn there, where Blue Parrot, etc. So it's all over. So now I think what Billy had envisioned and makes good sense, like Robert Ratteni did, was to extend the property line out and form an easement in which that the septic can leave room for future also. So they're looking to possibly make some changes of use in the building, and it would this system would accommodate that. I'm going to meet there next week with them to get a better idea of.
So the building, just so everybody's, the building runs from Main Street to Park Place. And
Correct.
It's kind of next to Park Place Liquors back there. So what they want, my understanding is that currently that building septic is in a cesspool, which is in our parking lot.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
So all they're looking to do is, and there is no easement for this. This was done a long, long time ago. So what the owners are looking to do is upgrade the septic, which is already in our parking lot, and keep it in the parking lot, but formalize it into an easement.
Correct.
By upgrading it to an IA system will allow them to make changes within the building to have, I think, retail wet uses, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm going to meet with
So
them.
not restaurants,
next week.
but
Correct.
retail
We're going to meet next week
wet
and have a
uses.
better idea of of what they're envisioning. But it's a win-win. We're getting a new system, and we're getting it kind of memorialized into an easement.
And we've done this already in the past, right? We did
Right
this
at
for
55
Ratteni's
Main, that
buildings,
goes back. Yes.
55 Main Street, similar situation. I believe Starbucks a long time ago.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not certain. It gets a little,
Does the owner pay for it or does the village pay for it?
No,
the owner.
And the scope is similar to what they just did with Bob's Buildings.
Exactly. So DPW will be involved, and
Be done in the off season, I would assume.
Well,
we
we'd
would-
like to
yes.
get,
Summer.
we'd like to get this all, if we do this, we'd like to get it done before we repave that parking lot. So.
Yeah.
What was, does anybody else have any questions?
I mean, are there any other people that might be interested in doing that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You mean at other locations?
Yeah, I mean,
Like before we pave, I think.
before
is
we
what-
pave, like maybe that's something that other landlords might be interested
Yeah,
in.
no, that would make good sense to obviously take care of that.
Right.
Is there a
prior to paving,
timeline?
but I don't know of any.
So what was the plan at this meeting? Where, does this have to go to a public hearing, or how does this work?
For the easement? No.
No? Okay.
It'll be a regular agenda item.
Okay. So it's like at the next meeting or something?
Whenever it's ready. Yeah, whenever it's ready to move forward.
Okay,
You would
great.
map out the easement, you would have a description, and it would be in a recordable form. So
Okay.
however long that takes.
Does anybody have any other questions? I think it's a pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and like I said, what we're trying to do is going forward is have them like take the property line extended into the Park Place. So the next, when the next person wants to do it.
Yeah, you don't have the lines crisscross.
Yeah. Because it's a little where Park Place turns there. It's a little confusing on whose septic is where. And I think that was Billy's idea. But
I
that
have
makes
one
good
quick question.
sense.
How does that tie in with the overall like master plan for the village?
Well, I mean, it might, once, we have a sewer system, everything would hook into that. So that, they're, doing this ahead of time, I guess. And
I guess
it might,
really the answer to that is it may become necessary over time, but for environmental as well as other purposes, it's prudent to do this now until that comes, right? Is that a fair?
good point. Yeah, environmentally, it makes,
Privy, which is in the parking lot. We just upgraded to IA system. And then if we get the sewer system in,
yeah, I mean, the more nitrate reducing systems we have, obviously, is better for the environment.
Right.
Yeah.
So they want to do this right away? I mean, if we can get this,
They do have an application with the Board of Health. They have an engineer, so it's moving along.
Okay.
The use of the building has morphed over time. I guess at one point there were apartments above. And, they have certain credits for those uses, which may be grandfathered. But I think it's pretty straightforward, actually.
all right. Does anybody else have any questions or we good? We should put it on the next agenda?
As long
Yes.
as they have a survey and a
And the health
mapped out
department
area,
and all that.
well, even if the health department, well, I mean, it's probably not to their benefit to do it, but that's up to them. But we need, a survey and a described area for the easement.
Which
So
I
as soon
believe
as
we
they
do.
As soon as they get that to us, or as soon as we can review it, we can get it back to you on an agenda.
Terrific. Great.
Okay,
Thanks, Tom.
thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but
Oh, no,
Billy's on
not at all.
vacation, so. Next up, public comment. If you would just state,
Sorry. Well, first,
oh,
your presentations first, sorry, before public comment.
I don't have that on here. I apologize. Must have been a condition that I don't have. No, it's not there.
it's there now.
Oh. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Hello, everybody. My name is David Kuehl, and I'm a resident, and I live at 4 Lockwood Lane. And what brings me here in front of you is, I guess I purchased my house in 2017, been doing some work on it, still doing work on it. And actually, I apologize for walking in a few minutes late because the contractors they're constantly pulling at you.
And your wallet, right?
Well, we're not going there. We'll go to the bar after. We're going to talk. We had a property with my neighbor was 81 Ocean Avenue, which was a house that had a lot of landscaping and privacy trees and screening. And then the town came along, I guess, a few years later and purchased the property. And at first they knocked the house down, took some of the trees down, and we still had a nice amount of privacy. And then fast forward to, I believe, just the beginning of this summer, they knocked down all the other trees, which basically gave us a bullseye of the main beach parking lot. So I was a little upset with the situation. So I reached out to the town, to different areas, and finally brought me to the mayor and Marcos. And we had a meeting and on site. And what happened was we were just brainstorming, figuring out what the best solution was. And I believe actually Tommy mentioned it, and the mayor and Marcos concurred that it was a good idea, which was to plant some trees on the villages, because the town owns 81 Ocean, but there's an area there of land from the parking lot to the town property that is the villages where there's room to put trees. So they suggested putting trees there, lining the parking lot with trees, which would, give me back my privacy screening. And I thought that was a great idea. I mean, obviously, the mayor mentioned that the bill would be on me, and I get it. And I was planning on planting eastern red cedar trees. And I know they're native to the area. And I know the whole goal especially with the town, they removed most of the non-native trees, except for some of the beautiful big specimens like the cryptomeria. So in holding to that theme, we would respect that and plant eastern red cedars. I have, I don't know if you can put it up on the board, the screenshots. Is that possible, Marcos?
They do it remotely, so.
They do remote? Okay, no problem.
It's up for broadcast.
Okay,
Oh,
so we can't see.
Oh, okay. So you can't see it. Understood. So basically, if you just look at, there's two pictures, and then there's an overhead view from the sky, which shows the property, and it shows the property line. There's a green line, which delineates, the town's property from the village's property. And I wanted to plant trees on the backside of the property, approximately there's a two-stake fence there. So encroaching on the two-stake fence a little bit, going to the corner of the property. And then also on the other side of the fence, planting a couple trees going to the corner of the property closest to ocean. And then I also have trees going from the corner on the angle side, paralleling Hook Pond, going from there up probably approximately 100 feet. And you could see it on the overhead view. It's showing, I guess there's one row of parking, a double row of parking, then another double row of parking. It runs approximately to the third row, which is the double row of parking. And by doing that, I probably would start off, I'm still working on trying to find the trees. So I'm finding trees in all different price ranges and sizes. And trying to figure out the size and count. But I mean, the general idea is we're going to plant in that area that's showing the little green trees. And looking 14 to 16 to 18 feet, maybe 18 to 20. It just really depends on what I could find and finding something that's obviously reasonable. And I think we would do it in, try to plant them as natural as possible, stagger them where we can to create a natural view. Obviously, I would maintain them and probably irrigate them until they're ready to go. And then I imagine the town could maintain them or I can maintain them. It's that's not a big deal either way. But I believe that's my presentation. Let me just see if I missed anything here. Yeah, so just looking to see if the board members would be agreeable to allowing me to do that, and I would do my best to make sure I did a nice job and everybody was happy and satisfied, and that's where I'm at.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I just want to back up a second for everybody who may be watching. So 81 Ocean was purchased with CPF funds. That's why it's now town property. And they came in and cleared that property. So that's how that became your issue.
Correct.
So it is a huge, his entire view of his house is facing the parking lot and the pond. So all he is looking at are cars, even in the summer. There are some big trees. You'll see them on the photo. Those are on 81. And they kind of block some of it. That's why you have the gap between the first two trees on our property and then the rest of the line. So, and that would, from his balconies and windows, he wouldn't see as much as the parking lot. Granted, you can't block it all. It's just be impossible, but it blocks a good portion of it.
Right. It would help a lot.
Yeah.
And I think as the trees mature, it would probably block a good chunk of it.
Yeah. And from the back of the house, the reason that it's on that other line along the pond is from the back of his house, again, it's on the angle, you can see right into the parking lot. So it's kind of a terrible view from his house. So that's why this is all coming up. And they put this presentation together to see how the board felt about allowing trees to be planted on our property. Go ahead, Sarah.
So I guess the trees that are planted along Hook Pond, that are because your house.
Yeah, because of the angle
Okay.
of the house,
Okay.
kind of looks in the back of the parking lot, if you will.
If you actually look at the one picture that shows a red line on one side and a red line on the other.
Yeah, we don't have those in front of us.
And how far down will the trees go? Like, will there be any view of Hook Pond?
Yeah, I mean, basically I was going down, like I said, 100 feet. So yeah, so it's probably, first third of the pond, maybe 25% or third, and obviously the back of it does not it's just for flowers, flowering grass, so.
Remember, there are a row of trees that are along Ocean and the parking lot. So it would kind of just be, the parking lot would become more boxed in, I guess you could say.
So are the trees at the end of this page that I'm looking at, is that the end of the line where you'd plant them?
So I'm not looking at the same page, but yeah, if you're talking about on the angled side?
Yes.
On this
Yes,
side?
that's correct.
Because that's a nice view, for when you're driving down, it's a nice view of the pond for other
You're talking
people.
about from coming down from Ocean?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize you can see the pond from that view. You think you can, or?
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Sarah, what do you mean when people are driving by?
Like that view. Like this is the end,
Right. So
and
when
this is the first double. And I think I can read Sarah's mind, is that right in there, that's a really nice view from the street.
It is.
Everything this way I can live with, which would seem to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in change, but bringing it these extra 12 or so, I
Seems
would,
like a lot.
I wouldn't want to block the view from the street. That's all. I think it's great in here, the whole side, and even up to that double line. I'd have to look at it in person.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not opposed to this at all, but I would like to look at it to see how far over it goes, because from the street, it is a nice view of the pond. I'd hate to block that.
It is. Yeah.
Well, again, there's a line of trees on Ocean that border the parking lot. So I don't know, in the summer, I'm not sure how much view you'd really have driving a car by.
And then when there's cars also parked in the parking lot.
Right. And there's cars in the parking lot.
Right.
So
and I respect your views. Obviously, you're looking out for the best interest of everybody. But from my perspective, that's a huge part of it for me. I mean, that's just.
I would just like to go down there and just see how far it's
Sure.
I can see it here, but just to make sure that it's not going to be like a blockade of the pond that people see.
Sure.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I also was wondering, did you ever talk to anyone at the LVIS or Dave Collins about the kind of trees that you'd pick?
Yeah. Actually, we talked about Eastern red cedars, and that was the most desirable because they're the most hardy. They can handle the salt water. They can handle the heat. They're also native to the area, native to the, and that's, we picked them specifically to have them be native.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Anything?
No, I mean, I agree with Chris and Sarah. I think that's fine. Okay. I've driven by it, but I didn't
Right.
specifically know the beach was going.
I guess I think about it more in the winter because that's where everyone ice skates, and I just would like to see how far it would go down.
Sure. I understand.
I have a question that might alleviate some of this. How tall do these trees grow?
Well, I don't have that answer 100%, but I would imagine at least 20 feet,
Yeah, the
30
reason I'm
feet.
asking is that eventually the tree will be higher enough where you'll still have a view from the street, but the canopy may block.
We could undercut them. We could undercut them on the
If you're up
bottom.
higher, you're really looking for more of the canopy to block your view.
That's a very good
And
point.
the answer, if the tree is 20 feet high and you're driving by in a car, you're still going to see right through the pond.
Where's his house?
So I have an idea.
His house
But-
is right here.
In general, does the board, it seems like the board is willing to work with this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we formed an aesthetics committee.
Okay.
That this, I think, would be a perfect project to give to them.
Mhm.
Because they will be able to come up with maybe a better idea or enhance this idea. And that's kind
I
of
am
what
open-minded,
we
absolutely.
created this committee for.
Sure.
I think it's a perfect opportunity. It's
Yeah.
going to be our property, our decision, and maybe we get a little input from some experts on this. And maybe that's the answer. Make sure the tree is tall enough. We have a canopy, so you could have that number of trees
Right.
and still see through, which was the intent of clearing that lot. So you would have a view when you drive by.
Right. Or potentially just clean up the bottom
Right.
and let the top grow and you have your 6-foot view. So when
Exactly.
you're driving by, you're not, because really from my point of view, that 6 feet on the bottom is going to do absolutely nothing. It's not going to hurt me.
Well, what maybe
And it'll enhance.
the
right.
trees
No, I
that
mean-
are already existing in
Right.
81 are the exact,
What
give
is,
you exactly what you're looking for, because
Correct.
I can see your house from my car, but
Correct.
from your deck, you can't see the parking lot. So it helps.
what is the name of the tree again? I'm sorry. Could you,
Eastern red cedar?
Eastern red cedar? Okay.
Yes.
So that's they'll have something on them all year.
Correct.
Round.
It's an evergreen. It's
evergreen.
like a juniper.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think it's
yeah,
in the juniper family.
right.
How
So-
soon are you looking for an answer? Sorry, sir.
Like
Are you going to plant this fall?
could conceivably plant this fall, but if, we need a little more time, I mean, that's okay too. I mean,
If we took a month, like next month's meeting?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it has to be right. I mean, I live there too. I mean, and I live in the town also, and I want it to be nice. So I'm not doing it just to be selfish and say, I want to plan it for my own good. If I'm going to do it, it has to look good for everybody.
Okay, good.
And I'm also looking at it. So I don't do things that are not tasteless.
Right.
I take pride
No,
in.
the house
in-
is beautiful.
Thank you. I take
Yeah.
pride in what I do, and I would do the same thing with that. And if we have people involved that can certainly give me some good ideas,
Right.
And placement of the trees and staggering it, and we may on the angle we may not need to get them so tight. We may just work the angle to create. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go. I just, and obviously something is better than nothing, but the angle I think is big in terms of that is a big section. So if we can find, a nice compromise where everybody's happy, I'm all for it. Like I said, absolutely.
That'll be great. So does that work?
So, yeah, I'd like to get some eyes on this and then get back to you if possible.
Put it in the next meeting.
Yeah, so maybe you could leave Marcos has all the information, so you'll be able to contact them.
Yeah, and Marco could also leave him my information. You call me direct if you had questions. I'm available.
So you know what we'll do? We'll schedule it for our next board meeting, which would be October, what's the third Friday of
Third
October?
Friday.
21st, I think.
What is it?
21st, I
The
think.
21st of October.
Okay.
So in the meantime, the aesthetics committee will take this, meet with you, figure out a plan, and then we'll meet on the 21st and get this done.
Okay.
Great.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time.
So
Thank you
much for
very
taking
much.
the time.
Thank you. Great.
Aesthetics committee's first assignment. Public comment? If you could just state your name for the record.
My name is Paul Fiandella. About 10 years ago, and my memory isn't exact, the previous mayor and the administrator, Larry Cantwell, established a committee to look into the possibility of there being some bicycle transportation through the village. It didn't involve the going down the main street. It was due to a horrendous traffic accident. Now, I believe you may have been on that committee. I'm not sure, but basically, that committee came up with a plan for a bicycle lane that went south of the highway. It completely went around the center of the village, but provided access by bicycle to most of the areas of the village south of the highway. It was rejected primarily because the mayor felt that bicyclists would use it and that we would have a bicycle problem in the village of some kind. You would have, besides having auto problems, you'd have bicycle problems. And he didn't want any more traffic problems of any kind. So that led me to think about how difficult it is for local government to tackle these problems, the problems of traffic. How many of you actually think auto traffic in the village is better than it was 10 years ago? Anybody? I think, I see a few smiles. How many of you would actually recommend that somebody get on a bike and ride around the village to do their day-to-day business? I think you probably have to be crazy to do that at this point. And frankly, it's actually gotten to the point where how many of you would actually try to cross from Pantago across North Main Street to try to, get across the highway over there? You can't really do that anymore safely either because there's so much traffic going to Springs. It's virtually impossible, and there's no crosswalk. So things are getting not better; they're getting worse. But it's like the old thing where the frog is in the pan, and you live with the temperature, and you don't quite notice it as much as perhaps somebody who comes in from outside and tries to get here to work. For example, 7 o'clock last night, Southampton, where there are 4 lanes, there's a traffic jam. Virtually every day coming out here or going to Southampton, there's a traffic jam. You look at the census figures, the population of the town has gone up by 7,000 or 8,000 people since the last census. You got a population increase. Now, situation where nobody can get around except by car, and you have a population increase, you're bound to have problems that are just about impossible to solve. So, okay. So my thing was, there's got to be solutions. And I went and did some investigation, and I found that up in Albany, there was a company called Alta Engineering that was responsible for designing all the bicycle lanes in New York City, the bicycle lanes in Boston. They actually laid out the transportation plans for some small communities in Florida that are similar to this one. And I realized that there were firms out there that specialize in multimodal, they call it multimodal transportation. How do you get people out of their cars? Okay, that's what they specialize in doing. And that's the problem that the village has, because everybody comes through the village and creates this huge bottleneck. You know that Pantago, you put up a little sign there, tells people how fast they're going. The traffic backs up for about a mile. And you know that you've got on the other side, you got traffic backing up. Coming from Springs, traffic is backing up. And absolutely nothing has been done in any of these situations to try to deal with it. Because frankly, it's like a local doctor doing heart surgery. What local doctor would do heart surgery? They would say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get sued. So they would refer to specialists. Well, we haven't done that. So 10 years have passed. I mentioned to the former mayor that, look, I thought putting aside $50,000 or even $100,000, getting a company in here with known experience in getting rid of traffic by using multimodal transportation designs, and have them come in here and look at the situation, do a report, not something that says you've got to do it, but just study it, because we're not even studying it at this point. That committee from 10 years ago is gone, So I am suggesting to you that this is something that you need to consider, okay? And you need to consider it in the slow season, because in the fast season, in the summer, you got so many things to deal with, you haven't got time for it. But in the winter, you can begin to start looking at these things. I'd like to see you get such a engineering outfit, not a construction engineering type outfit, not a highway building type outfit, but specifically an engineering outfit that is specializing in what is called multimodal transportation. And you'll easily find these people by simply looking up who did the designs for all the bicycle lanes in New York City and whatnot. The other thing that I think you have to look at, which probably is more of, could be handled locally, maybe perhaps without a study, is some of the things that are going on with the sidewalks in the village. You have a number of sidewalks that aren't straight. They curve. And for example, on Newtown Lane, there's one sidewalk that I'm familiar with where the town will not send one of its vehicles to pick up a senior citizen there because they're afraid to go into the driveway. They're afraid they come back out, they're going to hit somebody because it's a blind spot. And the problem is that instead of, there used to be trees there. And what happened is you put the sidewalks around the trees, but then the tree died, the tree got removed and the sidewalk still goes like around. So on one side of the private driveway, the sidewalk will be here and the other side, it will be here. And to back out of there, you have to look out of both sides of your windows, get it that way and that way at the pretty much at the same time, because if you use only this side, you're going to run over whoever's coming from here and vice versa. So these are designs which you do have within your control. I really think somebody should walk down some of these sidewalks and make sure every single one of them is safe. In some instances, people have hedges that are on village property. They go right up to the sidewalk and you can't possibly see who's walking down there. So that's within your control. But these other things, which please don't overlook them. You know, it's sort of like global warming. I once said to Larry Cantwell, this is what a map looks like of Springs Fireplace Road and the village in 2100 based on the worst case scenario. They're all underwater. And Larry said, well, I'm not going to be around then. And that's the problem. Howard Lebwith, who is now deceased, was on this committee. He said that we have this problem in East Hampton called the Mandela wheel. What happens is a problem comes to the fore because like a young person gets killed and everybody says we got to do something. So we all start to say we got to do something, we got to do something, we got a committee, and then the committee does a report and then the report, and then we look at the report and we discuss the report, and then the report, you know, there's some objections and then there's some more objections. And then somebody says, well, maybe we should leave it alone for now and come back to it at some point. We come back with it and then it fades away. And then another 10 years goes by and the problem comes back. With the traffic problem, that problem keeps coming back worse and worse and worse. Now, I was on a committee that tried to bring a hospital annex into East Hampton. Why? Because they're going to move the hospital farther down the highway and it'll be virtually impossible to get out of here in an emergency. And, you know, it took a lot of work to get that done. We had a number of obstacles, but without the leadership, your leadership, nothing happens. Okay. You are the ones who are going to decide what happens in this community. I urge you to take this under your wing. If you do accomplish this, you will have done more than anybody has done in 10 years. And you will certainly be remembered the next time Hugh King comes up here in 25 years and says, by the way, what he did when he was here is this.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
bringing
Thank
this up. But I just want to go over a couple of things. We agree with you on a lot of your points. And for the last 2 years, we hired masons that we have working in-house. And we've been working on these sidewalk issues, the trip and falls. If you drive down James Lane right now, that entire brick sidewalk, which was a mess in our historic area, is being replaced. So, like I said, for the last 2 years, we've been tackling these things, but they have been neglected for a long, long time. So it's taking us time to get these sidewalks in order. People need to cut their hedges back. I agree, to stop the problems with the line of sight issues. So very good points that you've made on all that. But just to let you know, Dave Collins, our superintendent of highways, is working on all these right now. You know, there's only so much money to go around. So, but we are working on that. So that's point number one. Point number two about the bike lanes. I love the idea. Again, not making excuses, but you have town, village, and state, and in some circumstances, county, like North Main Street is actually a county highway. So all of these people need to work together. So what we've done is I've reached out to the town supervisor to set up a village and town traffic study committee. which we just did a month ago, and they have agreed to do it. So to start out with that committee, we have town and village police chief, town and village planner, town and village board member, and somebody from the state, I believe that Chief Tracy has brought in, traffic light study. Because we all know the Wayne Scott traffic light is a mess and it causes traffic to back all the way up into the village. Even Accabonac now is becoming the Accabonac traffic light at by the post office is becoming a problem, and it backs traffic all the way up past town hall. So we are taking action to work on those things. I love the idea of bike lanes. I don't know how it would all work. What do we have? One on Woods Lane?
I think the only bike lane you have is one that was established by the state. Yes, what you're outlining here.
We've also made recommendations to the state to look at Main Street.
Yeah.
We're the only Main Street on the east end of Long Island that have 2 lanes on each side of the road, which makes the road extremely dangerous. We've asked them to look at it to make 1 lane in each direction. That would give room for bike lanes and things like that. So we are working on it, but it's really important thing to do. And I really commend you for coming up here today and reminding us to get to work on this.
I would make one point on that, because we've been through this. I've been through this with 3 separate committees: the bicycle committee in the town, this committee that was established in the village, and also the Concerned Citizens Committee for the town for East Hampton. And we discussed this. We actually met with people from the county. I'm quite familiar with situations where there are multiple jurisdictions and the problems in coordinating them. But I must tell you that the real problem is not even really the coordination. We could get the county to do something, with North Main Street, with the intersection of Springs Fireplace Road, and we could do that. They were willing to do it. They met with us. They sent their engineers, but there ultimately needs to be a plan.
Right.
Okay. And it's the plan that's missing. That was my conclusion. We gave the village a south of the highway complete, this street, that street, where you would put the bike lane, everything, all the way around the village. Okay. It was there in black and white, but there was no expertise behind it. And that expertise, that plan is what's missing. You can get the agencies eventually work together and they will do something, but whatever they do is not going to be thought out in terms of a traffic reduction plan for the community. And to do that, you needed this expertise I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay?
My whole idea or my thoughts, we have so much traffic on our back roads because people use them as bypasses because
Yes,
Montauk
that's
Highway
right.
is a complete disaster.
Right.
So they need to do something about these traffic lights, because if you had traffic moving on the main highway, you wouldn't have people on the back roads, then it makes it more conducive for bike riding, jogging. Right now you take your life riding a bike around here.
Oh, you'd have to
So,
be crazy.
yeah.
The thing is that you're quite right about that. And we brought that up on one occasion to the people who designed the roundabout in Riverhead, and the actual engineers that did that. And it is true that you can get rid of traffic lights with roundabouts. They've done it in other states. I saw it in one state where 2 major highways intersected. They put a roundabout in there and it worked.
Right.
And they don't need tremendous amounts of property. There can be small ones as well as big ones, but there's a bias, you say,
Right.
against them in New York. And for some reason, they are not favored by most highway engineers. So you as mayor might go to the state and say, hey, if you put a roundabout in Wainscott, that would be better for us. And they turn around and say, well, our research has shown that roundabouts don't really work in these situations. And that's the end of it.
Right.
So you need to have expertise. You need to have somebody who says, well, in Aspen, Colorado, where we had a similar level of traffic, according to our statistics, we were able to put a roundabout in using this particular design, and these are the results. You need that level.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's sometimes these engineers put themselves in a box that nothing else will work. And then
Certainly.
it's working in other places. So I agree with you. So, but we're going to put this committee together and hopefully we can get somewhere.
Well, consider it would
I like
involve
your idea.
it would involve appropriations. Okay.
Right.
And that's the other obstacle that you come up against. And all I can tell you is this: look, if you look at census figures, come on, this village, every property in this village practically is worth more than $1 million.
Right.
That makes this community one of the richest communities in the United States. It's hard to say we don't have the money to do this level planning. We have the money. We don't have the will. The mayor apparently has the will. The rest of you trustees have to have the will, because this is a rich community, and it's extremely embarrassing to have to go into another community and have them basically laugh at you because you've got the money to do something, but you don't do it. And they say, boy, aren't all those rich people out in East Hampton stupid? I'm not kidding. I get this all the time. And it's, on the other hand, they envy the fact that they're all rich, but the thing is, they laugh that they can't solve simple problems. Right. See, we solved our problems. Look at them. They're still at the stage. They don't even have cell service out there,
Don't get us started on that.
Okay. So thank you very much
for coming. We really appreciate it. All righty. So that was public comment. All right, we're moving into motions and resolutions. June?
Number 226, approve claim vouchers for the month of September.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 27, approve warrants as listed.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 228, approve minutes from meetings held on July 6th and July 29th.
Motion accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 229, approve departmental reports.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
230, approve the JP Morgan Chase participation agreement to replace the village's Citibank credit card. And that's in reference to a memo from Dominique Cummings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
231, approve the opening of an interest-bearing sub-account with New York Class for bond proceeds, and that's as per a memo from Dominique Cummings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
232, approve the one-year extension of the contract with Whitmore's for tree removal at $70 per hour.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
233, approve ambulance association membership changes as listed. Resignation of Adriana Gucce, Joe Izzo to exempt status, and a new member, Darlene Jackman Hernandez, effective August 30th.
Motion accepted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Just want to welcome the new member and thank the members who are leaving for their service.
234, approve listed traffic control officers and specialists, seasonal police officers, paramedics, and critical care EMTs to work during the winter months for recall assignments. And that's as per Chief Tracy's September 2nd memo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. And the reason this is done, just so everybody's aware, is because they're part-time employees and civil service doesn't allow them to do full-time hours outside of the Memorial Day to Labor Day season.
235, approve the list of special events for winter months that require TCOs, and that's as per Chief Tracy's September 2nd memo.
Motion accepted.
Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried. Again, that's a civil service requirement.
Number 236, approve annual service agreement with Motorola for the headquarters base station backup consoles in the amount of $55,029.92, and that's per Chief Tracy's September 6th memo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Just to fill everybody in, this was prompted because of the server failure we had in the summer. Correct, Chief?
Yes, our servers were at the end of life, and we knew at some point that there was going to be replacement. However, fortunately, we had to replace both at once. It's very, very expensive, but it's necessary to keep dispatch and PD working.
And yeah, when I'd like to thank the dispatch center for doing an outstanding job during this basic crisis. They had no CAD information. They had to do everything by pencil and pen or pencil and paper. So I think it was a 3-day event in the middle of August. So they really stepped up and did a great job. They do a great job every day, but this was really above and beyond what they normally do. And for people who don't know, our dispatch center handles all the 911 calls for the entire township, unlike any other town in Suffolk County.
In Sag Harbor.
And Sag Harbor, correct. So they just do a great job every day. But this was really above and beyond, like I said, and I wanted to personally, publicly thank them.
Number 237, deem surplus and approve sale and/or the disposal of lost and found property as per Chief Tracy's September 6th memo.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
238, approve employment of Jordan N. Renos as a heavy equipment operator at the annual starting salary of $54,580, and that's per Dave Collins' September 6th memo.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Passed and carried.
239, appoint Andrew Barris to Zoning Board of Appeals, term to expire on July 31st, 2026, and this would fulfill Carrie Doyle's term.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 240, notice for public hearing, 37 Newtown Lane sanitary upgrade easement.
Any?
So moved.
Is that necessary or?
No, we can approve it subject to the approval of the village attorney and the village planner, please.
Okay, all right. Can I get a motion?
We did already.
Second? Someone?
Got that too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 241 was tabled. 242, approved proposal from Cityscape Consultants, Inc. at a cost of $17,770 to provide wireless infrastructure study.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed and carried. Again, just for information purposes, this is basically piggybacking off of the town study. The town has hired this company to do a townwide study. So we are employing them as well, or hiring them to do the study of the village. So that's what that is about.
243, approve the $33,715.25 purchase of 3 in-car computer recording systems for the police department as per September 9th memo from Chief Tracy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 244, appoint new members to the Aesthetics Committee, Carrie Doyle and Sarah Amidon as co-chairs. Members Erica Broberg, Dreyer Derrig, Michael Derrig, Stephen Drucker, Larry Kane, Lisa Larson, Frank Newbold, Mary Margaret Truesdale, and Nathan Wold.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
245, accept new fire department members, Amanda Stannis of Hose Company Number 3 and Jared Silver of Engine Company Number 2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
46, notice for a public hearing to be held on October 21st, 2022 at 11 a.m. at the EMS building for introductory number 4, 2022, a proposed local law amending chapter 267 to alleviate traffic flow, parking, and line of sight issues on Dayton Lane near the Dayton Lane Main Street intersection.
Second.
All in favor? Hearing is scheduled.
47, accept Solution Pest Management's bid to provide pest control for the 9/16/2022 to July 31st, 2024 contract period as per September 12th bid specifications.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
248, approve list of 2022 beach employees to work the extended season as per Drew Smith's September 14th memo.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. And again, that's another civil service report. So I'm going to ask for a motion to close and go into executive session to discuss personnel and real estate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is closed, and we're going to be going into executive session. If we have to return for any reason, we'll contact the press. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.